In football, there's an axiom that says if you're strong up front on defense, you've got a chance to be good. When you combine that with a strong secondary in the middle, you've got a chance to be great.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, whatever podcast platform you want to download, this show is going to be free, and you know how much I always appreciate your support. It's another new day. It's a new year. We're 2 weeks in now. Can you believe it? 2025 is 2 weeks old already. Told you, time flies, especially when you're having fun. I would say these first 2 weeks has been pretty productive for the USC Trojans coaching staff. We're focused right now on recruiting the transfer portal candidates. They've been busy. So the coaches have been on the road, hitting campuses, making their face, showing their face in front of the students, the coaches, and obviously they're hosting candidates through the transfer portal. Well, one of those guys who took a visit to USC got a commitment from him. He's a safety. His name is Bishop Fitzgerald. He's coming from North Carolina State. 6 foot even, maybe 6'1", 202 pounds. Last season for the Wolfpack at safety, he tallied up 55 tackles. Of those 55, 7.5 of them were for a loss. And what you're really going to like about Bishop when you watch his film and you look at his stats, the thing that really pops out to me is that he reads the play really well. He's got a high football IQ. And I think some of that has to do with the fact that he was a quarterback coming out of high school. So again, football intelligence quotient up here, really high. And that's what you want in the safety, in the middle of your secondary. Something else you're going to like about him, he's consistently around the football. Last year, he had 11 pass breakups, 3 interceptions, and if that wasn't enough, he also forced a fumble, and he actually earned all ACC honorable mention consideration. So he knows how to make an impact on the field. His talents are recognized. The statistic that really stood out that I just read out to you was he's always around the ball. He's always got his hands touching the ball. Last year, USC's defensive backs, I wouldn't say they were great when it came to pass breakups, getting their hands on the ball, creating turnovers. Fitzgerald, I'll say it again, he had 11 pass breakups on his own, which is the same amount USC's top 2 defenders had combined. Yeah. When I saw that, I kind of got all bug-eyed as well. I was like, wow. I mean, USC's secondary wasn't terrible, but again, they need a BallHawk out there, somebody who can generate turnovers. USC's losing a lot of experience from last year's defensive backfield. Don't forget, Achille Arnold, Greedy Vance Jr., Jacoby Covington, Jalen Smith. They're done with their college eligibility. They're looking to be an NFL pro. So far during the offseason, we know that USC brought in DJ Harvey from San Jose State, local kid from Southern California. He's got the opportunity to play cornerback. USC's also bringing back Kamari Ramsey at safety, which is great because he was ready to be an NFL draft pick as well in April. So you bring in Bishop Fitzgerald. Now USC has two veteran safeties that they can rely on in that secondary. That's huge. Last year, Bishop started 12 games for the Wolfpack, and he started 4 games during the 2023 season. So this is not going to be something new. It's not going to be, the situation isn't going to be too big for him. Now, before he joined North Carolina State, he actually went from high school to the junior college ranks Coffeyville City College, community college, I guess. Now, again, you have the combination of Kamari Ramsey. I anticipate he'll be your free safety. You're bringing in Bishop Fitzgerald. I anticipate he's going to get a good, strong look at strong safety. He's got that build. And when you get those two guys manning the middle of the secondary, that's going to make all those young cornerbacks, nickelbacks that are on USC's roster, it's going to make their job a lot easier. Because I'll say it again. I anticipate USC's defensive line up front, they're going to be strong, much better than they have been in the past. And now they're going to be solid in the middle of the secondary. Those young cornerbacks will benefit the most. If you're creating pressure up front, your coverage time decreases. That's big when you're a young cornerback. So you've got the veterans. You got Prophet Brown. He's returning. Hopefully DeCarlos Nicholson is coming back. We'll see what happens there. I mentioned you got the veteran DJ Harvey, who's transferring in from San Jose State. Can he play nickelback? I think he can. He saw some safety work, I believe, at Virginia Tech. So if DJ can slide into that nickelback role, that third corner, safety in the box, however you want to describe it, that might create the opportunity for Marcellus Williams to, challenge for one cornerback spot on one side. You got Braylon Connolly on the other side. And yeah, if we're talking about those guys beating out, Prophet Brown or if Carlos Nicholson's coming back, you always anticipate that the veterans are going to have a leg up. We'll see. That's what competition's all about. So people are saying, well, Mark, USC's got some good young safeties. They do. But you don't want to go young safeties, young cornerbacks. You're still got a question mark at linebacker. And again, you've got a lot of potential on that defensive line. I feel better with two experienced safeties. Those are your quarterbacks on defense. And now USC has two of them. So I mentioned the young safeties. Don't forget, in last year's class, 2024, USC brought in Marquise Gallegos. They also brought in Jarvis Boatwright Jr. So those guys are going to continue to develop. They're going to compete for playing time this spring. We'll see where they're at. And then in the 2025 class, you're bringing in a couple of guys. You've got Kendarius D. Reddick, who was committed to University of Central Florida. He's now a Trojan. And you also have Stephen Miller, another safety prospect from the state of Georgia. So when you look at the room, when you look at the secondary overall, Doug Belk, he's got a bright future back there with those guys. And when you're adding a quality player with experience like a Bishop Fitzgerald, that's great. That's exactly what this team needs heading into the 2025 season, especially this winter off season and going into spring camp. So yeah, you know what you got going on up front. We're still trying to solidify that second level linebacker, but now you feel a lot more comfortable in the secondary. Kamari Ramsey, Bishop Fitzgerald is a ball hawk. I went over his stats. Go check out his film. Go look it up on YouTube. You're going to love it. Physical player, tackles well. In fact, that's probably where he made the biggest improvement from 2023 to 2024 is when he transitioned from Coffeyville City Community College to North Carolina State. He struggled a little bit adjusting to the speed of the game at this level. But then last year, it kind of like everything caught up to him, and he became a much better tackler. He was always around the ball creating turnovers. You always want that in your secondary. USC welcomes him with open arms, and so should you. All right, so you need more proof that USC has been doing a good job with their offensive line. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to tell you why in the next segment. And then I'm going to answer one of my everyday listeners. He said, hey, Mark, can you remind everybody who's coming in this year? We're going to talk about that in the third segment. But first, let's do this. Look, it's after the holidays. You got all the hustle. You're trying to get stuff done. And You know what helps? Giving your home a little tender loving care, cleaning up, decluttering, making yourself feel good. Because when you feel good, when you look good, you feel good, right? Whether you're into tidying up, clearing out, you just want to give your office space a new look. Start the year with Wayfair because they got everything you need and they have everything that's going to fit your budget. They've got some really cool stuff. I've got my eye on this office chair I'm about ready to pull the trigger on. But my favorite part about Wayfair, the free part. Yeah, the free and hassle-free delivery, even for their larger items. Wayfair's site was so easy to navigate. You're going to love that. And I found everything I needed in no time. You're not fumbling around. You'll find exactly what you're looking for, just like that. So there's something for everyone, for every style, every home, no matter your space or your budget. Wayfair makes it easy to tackle your New Year's home goals with endless inspiration and every space for everybody. Give your home the refresh it needs with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's wayfair.com, WAYF like Frank, AIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. We do one last curtain call for Josh Henson, USC's former offensive line coach. Josh, take a bow. And why is Josh taking a bow all the way from West Lafayette, Indiana? I'll tell you why. If you need more proof that USC and Josh Henson were good at identifying talent and developing those guys into above average, into elite players, well, here you go. We know that Emmanuel Perignon has ripped off the Band-Aid. He poured salt into the open wound. He pulled a full Bear Alexander. He's now an Oregon Duck. USC must have done something right. Brought him in for a couple of years from obscurity in Wyoming. All of a sudden now he's the hottest commodity, the top-rated interior offensive lineman. So I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit here, but Emmanuel Perignon made a decision. He's going to Oregon. He's taking the money. And you would think Oregon, with all those recruiting wins with the offensive line, you know, Trojan fans, oh, we can't win an offensive line recruiting battle against Oregon. You would think that somehow the Ducks wouldn't get caught tampering with one of Boise State's best players. Yeah, that happened. And then apparently somehow Oregon's people got word to Perignon's people that Phil Knight, you know, I don't know, he's willing to improve the deal that Emmanuel renegotiated and approved ahead of the Vegas Bowl. Well, if you needed more anecdotal evidence that Josh Henson was pretty good at his job at USC, all right, again, he took Emmanuel Perignon, developed him into a stud that Oregon just had to have. They're willing to write a check for it, no matter what. Okay, here's some more evidence. USC starting left tackle, redshirt freshman Elijah Paige was just named to the freshman All-American team by the Football Writers Association of America. Yeah, take a bow, Coach Henson. Throw the flowers, USC fans. There's no denying it. USC was able to identify talent, recruit said talent, and most importantly, develop the talent. Was Elijah Paige considered one of the top prospects coming out of high school? Sure, absolutely. But let me remind everybody, in 2023, as a true freshman, he struggled, as most true freshmen do on the offensive line. It was all about, you know, bringing that max effort, understanding what it takes to play at this level. So, excuse me, Coach Henson, he said, you know what? Get your butt down to the practice squad. Go get your butt kicked a few times. Learn what it's all about. And what happened at the end of the season? Elijah Paige showed up in the Holiday Bowl, looked great, and he parlayed that into becoming the starting left tackle in 2024. No one's going to say he did not have that rough game against Michigan. Some of that let's give Michigan's guy some credit. Those are NFL dudes that he was going up against. Some of that had to do with communication issues that Coach Riley took accountability for, not having the guys ready. But, don't forget, after that really good game that Paige and USC's offensive line had against LSU in game 1 in Las Vegas, and the last game of the year, he played well enough to earn All-American status. Redshirt freshman, Football Writers Association of America said, Elijah Paige, you've been developed at USC, and we recognize it. So again, some of you need to, say, throw some thank you flowers. Say, thank you, Josh Henson. You did a good job. You stocked the offensive line room with recruiting. We'll see you in September in West Lafayette. I want to take it one step further, just to kind of give you more data points that USC has been developing the offensive line, the guys that they've been recruiting for the last couple of years. Remember when Elijah got hurt in the bowl game against Texas A&M? What part of Justin Tauanu's game did you not like when he was thrust into action? True freshman, left tackle. Exactly. There was nothing you didn't like. So what happens now because we know that USC brought in DJ Wingfield and General Reed from Syracuse to play center. So what happens is all right, Elijah Paige, he's got left tackle locked down. What if we slide Justin inside this year? What if Micah Banuelos all of a sudden blossoms and he's ready to take over one of the interior offensive line spots? Suddenly all those Josh Henson haters, offensive line haters of USC, you're going to be asking me, hey, Mark, you got any more crow you can serve up? And, oh, by the way, let's not forget Alani Noah, right? He'll be entering his third year entrenched as the starter at right guard. I really want to drive this point home. I really want to emphasize this. These are the type of wins with the offensive line and the development with recruiting and everything. These types of wins need to be appreciated because this is the type of stuff that resonates with recruits. I know Coach Zach Hansen played a role with the 2025 offensive line class. But again, reminder, and this isn't about Josh Henson, but this is about what he's leaving for USC. Just want to keep this fresh in everybody's mind. Don't forget about the guys that signed with 2025, the guys who committed when Henson was still the offensive line coach. Remember, early signing period, that took place. And then around December 18th, Coach Henson decided to take the offensive coordinator position at Purdue. The big question mark, or one of the criticisms about Josh Henson was he can't recruit the elite offensive lineman. And this all goes back to the whole USC didn't get Josh Cornerly. Well, you got Elijah Paige. In this current class, Aaron Dunn, Alex Payne, they'd be considered upper echelon, bordering on elite. Are they 5-star? No. Do I care about the stars? No. I care about the programs that were recruiting them. So if that's the top end of USC's offensive line class in 2025, don't forget you've got the mountain, Elijah Vacona. You've got center Willie Washer. So there's 4 more on top of the 10 from 2023 and 2024. And by the way, what's in the Elijah water? Paige is a unit. I mean, we know that. And Vacona might be bigger than Paige when everything's all said and done. It's a big human being. So back on the development point. We know Jonah Monheim's going to get drafted in April. Trae Young went from unknown with potential in Wyoming to a hot commodity after spending 2 years with the USC, being developed. So tell me again, why does everybody's tighty-whities and why does everyone's boxers get all twisted when it comes to USC's offensive line, recruiting, development? Give me some examples of where USC messed up, they failed. And don't give me, well, they didn't pay enough to keep Emmanuel. That's not the question. Obviously, they developed him. Zach Hanson, Coach Zach Hanson, he's got a lot to work with going forward. And it's because the offensive line room is stocked. And it's stocked compared to what was there in 2022 when Coach Riley and Henson took over. So going forward, USC needs to retain these guys. They need to follow the same blueprint that Ohio State works with. Recruit, develop, retain. Recruit, develop, retain. So again, if you do that, watch, rinse, repeat going forward. This is where you want USC to be. You want to have deep rooms in the trenches. I think for the first time in a long time, everyone should be able to agree. The offensive line room and the defensive line room, a lot of bodies to work with, a lot of talent to work with, a lot of young talent to work with. All right, one more segment to go. We're going to talk about some of that young talent in the next segment. Did you know that Rocket Money can help you find any subscription that you forgot about? Maybe you were paying for twice? Yeah, that sucks. Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending, and it helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when they use all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions. Reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right. I'm kind of watching over my shoulder here. USC, they're holding on. They got a 10-point lead, 93-83 over Iowa men's basketball with a minute 39 left to go in the game. Will USC hold on? They've led the entire way so far from start to finish. Do not lose this game. Build up that win against Illinois. All right, let's get back to football. I'll talk more about the men's basketball team on tomorrow's episode of Locked On USC. Be here. We're talking basketball. All right. One of the show's everyday listeners, his name is Vince Menino. He asked me, he said, "Hey, Mark, would you go over the list of players that are coming in for 2025? I said, absolutely. Here's your list. Whatever the people want, the people are going to get. I'm a man of the people. All right. Like I said in the previous segment, there's a lot to look forward to. A lot of good players in the offensive line, defensive line room. Well, here's the latest batch of Trojans. Here's who's coming in. Here's the future of USC. Everybody knows about Thanos, Jakeem Stewart, right? The A plus cannot miss, immediate impact defensive lineman. That's the jewel of the class. So you got him. You've got your, and I'm using finger quotes, your 5-star quarterback, local product, Husan Longstreet from Centennial. He's the future. You got Matai Tagoai, another defensive player, linebacker, San Clemente, California. When I watch him, he reminds me a lot of Matt Grudegood. He's that type of player. If he is anything close to Groots at USC, see the smile? Yeah, good stuff. Some of you might not have remembered Matt Gruttergood. Go look up his YouTube film. I watched him by himself when he was at Mater Dei play against Long Beach Poly. By himself, he destroyed Long Beach Poly, both sides of the ball. Dude was a stud. Matai, I don't think he's going to be a two-way player, but he's got those same characteristics. That's who he reminds me of. I mentioned the name Alex Payne, offensive lineman, offensive tackle. Excuse me. Another offensive tackle, Aaron Dunn from Utah. USC's highest rated defensive back is from the state of California. Tristan Castro, he's over in Hawaii right now, getting ready for the Poly Bowl. You heard me mention the name in the first segment, safety, Kendarius Reddick. Just call him D. Reddick. Lincoln Riley is really high in this guy. Loves him. You've got wide receiver from the DMV, Baltimore, Maryland area, Romero Eisen. Speed, more speed. That's all you need to know. You want a Juju Schuster-Smith type of wide receiver? USC's bringing one in. His name's Corey Sims. Corey Sims. I stood next to him after one of USC's home games. Dude is built. And remember, he's in high school now. Cannot wait to see what he looks like when Benny Wiley gets him. You've got more speed at wide receiver. Tanuk Hines. I believe he's also in Hawaii, getting ready for the Polynesian Bowl. Running back, Harry Dalton from Virginia. Again, USC had to hold on to him. Alabama was coming hard at the end. That's all you need to know. Another safety prospect from the state of Georgia. I mentioned his name, Stephen Miller. You got defensive back Alex Graham. Remember, he was committed to Deion Sanders in the University of Colorado. USC flipped him towards the end. He's also in Hawaii preparing for the Polynesian Bowl. Need another running back? The name is Riley Wormley from the state of Texas. Defensive lineman. Yeah. You know how excited about Floyd Boucard, man-child. Yep, he's there. You heard me mention Elijah Vicona, offensive lineman. 6'8", 370. I'm telling you, once Coach Benny Wiley gets his hands on him, starts shaping him, yeah, you can't teach that kind of size. And he's gotten better. He is no longer a project. He might be a year or two away from playing, but he's not a project. You got defensive lineman, underrated from the state of Texas, Gus Cordova, the Gus Bus. This dude has a non-stop motor. You're going to love this guy. Tremendous work ethic. Learn from his immature mistake. This guy appreciates where he's at right now. Oh, by the way, USC 99, Iowa 88, less than 1 second to go. I think USC is going to win. All right. Also, defensive end, edge. He's been classified now at that position. Nila Tupou also played tight end. USC wants him to play on the defensive side of the ball. I mentioned the offensive lineman earlier, Willie Washer, true center. Friend of the show. He's been on before. Cannot wait to see him develop under Zach Hansen. You've got athlete, wide receiver, James Johnson. Again, quick, fast, twitch type of guy that get him the ball in the open field, he's gonna break ankles. He's that type of player. Another defensive lineman. Oklahoma wanted this dude pretty bad. USC said, we'll take him instead. Cash Jacobson, 6'2.5", 250. You like his frame. I see this guy eventually moving inside, playing defensive tackle. We'll see. And then let's get into I guess we'll call them the transfers. Technically, he's not a transfer. He's coming from the junior college ranks. Waymond Jordan. You've got transfer quarterback Sam Heward. Here's half of the 700 pounds. You got Keyshawn Silver, defensive tackle, transfer from Kentucky. Jamal Jarrett, the other half of the 700 pounds from Georgia. I talked about Bishop Fitzgerald in the first segment. 6'1", 200 pounds is where he's at now. BallHawk. Love this dude's game. I mentioned DJ Harvey. He's listed at a cornerback. Again, we'll see if he's going to play true corner or if he's also going to get a look at the nickel spot. Running back, Eli Sanders from New Mexico. I mentioned General Ray Reed. He's your transfer from Syracuse, coming in to compete at that center spot. DJ Wingfield, the offensive lineman from Purdue. He's slotted to play interior offensive line. He can also play tackle. You've got the kicker from UNLV, Caden Chittenton. You've got the wide receiver we talked about on yesterday's episode, the new Prince of Troy, Prince Strawn, wide receiver from Boise State. And then don't forget, you also have the punter, Sam Johnson from Valparaiso. So there you go, Vince Menino. Everybody else who's listening, watching the show, that's your incoming class to date. Don't forget, you still have the February signing period. The transfer portal is still wide open. There's guys looking for homes. And the roster will finally be set once spring camp is over and that spring transfer window comes and goes. But for the time being, there you go. That's who's coming. Some of those guys are already on campus. I'll be back with another episode of Locked on USC tomorrow. We're going to talk about USC's big win at home over Iowa. That's 2 in a row. They beat Illinois in Illinois. They just beat Iowa, which is one of the highest scoring teams in the country. USC led from tip-off to the final whistle. Eric Musselman, he's building something there. Give him some time. We'll see what they look like. All right, that's it for this episode. Now that you're done watching this episode of Locked on USC, don't forget about Locked on College Football. And then when you're done, get over there to wearec.com. Scott Schrader is in Hawaii. He's gathering all the intel from the recruits. Eric McKinney, he's got you covered with team stuff as well as recruiting. I got my written content. Chris Arledge, Greg Katz, we did our Inside the Trojan Huddle. Go check out that panel show. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.